Hey, welcome back to the show. It's Ken Dunn, and I'm glad you're here with us today. In the studio today, we're really excited to have a successful author, Mr. Dr. Bill Svoboda.
Thank you.
Bill, thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you.
We're here to talk about Bill's new book, and the book is called What's Most Important. And Bill, I'm really excited about this book. I'm excited because it really helps people to clearly understand how they can figure out what's most important. Tell us what really the book is about from your perspective.
Well, the book came about as a result of about 4 decades of research into answering a research question that I had as a professor and a dean, and that is, what's most important? I was trying to figure out what the schools should teach and why they should teach it. And as a result, the research kept building up, and then I wrote a book called Your Choice is Your Life. I kept doing more research, and okay, what am I going to do in a second book? And it just came to me that, all right, what's most important? What's most important in terms of an individual, of the family, of maybe a society, and actually you can think in terms of universality. And so what then I ended up with, in terms of what's important, as it broke down, it became these 5 factors.
Right. Now, so if I understand this correct, you were a professor and a dean at a university.
I was a professor at Arizona State University. I spent most of my time at Arizona State University, but I was also a teacher in Puerto Rico and a professor in Africa.
And over the years of teaching, what was your focus? What were you teaching?
I was teaching what was called common learnings when I first started teaching, which was a combination of the social sciences, the language arts, and science. And you taught those to middle school kids, and I chose that because my hero was Leonardo da Vinci, who's this master of many different ideas and many different talents, and that was kind of what. And when I found that major, which was really a tri-major, that's why I took it. And I think that's one of the reasons why then I could think in terms of a wider scope than if I had just been a history teacher. I would have never been able to come up with something like that.
Right, so my thought is that what's most important is really the culmination of a whole life of study and education by you.
Yes.
So then the obvious question is what's most important today the same as it was 50 years ago?
That's a good question. I would say yes, it is. Only it may have been refined as we've progressed as a society.
If we
that's
yeah, exactly.
And because in all time, though I'll just name the 5 factors and let you.
And of course, we should let our audience know that inside of the book, it really helps somebody to understand what's most important to them by giving a roadmap to speak of through these 5 factors that you've identified from your research.
And I think as somebody's listening, you should think in terms of not only yourself, but is this what you would like to have for your children?
Right.
Is this the kind of life or preparation that your children should have? Is this the kind of preparation that you would like to have your representatives in the state and federal government have? And so let me go through this.
Yeah.
And factor number 1 is gaining and maintaining physical health. And of course, the opposite of physical health is death.
Right.
And if you have death, you don't.
Health doesn't really matter.
All the rest of this doesn't matter.
Right.
The second part of it is physical health. You could be very. We all know people who are maybe physically healthy, but they're not. They have some problems mentally, and that means then that they're not nearly as successful or happy or fulfilled as they would be otherwise. The third thing is, in which most people really get interested in, is gaining and maintaining financial security.
Right.
Now, to get those, you're going to be able to get healthier physically, mentally, and financially if you possess a wide range of critical thinking and problem-solving skills.
Right.
And if you don't, if you don't, those skills will facilitate the achievement of the health, and physical and mental and financial health. And then finally, would be the fifth part would be the individual and the society acting responsibly toward others, toward the environment, and toward themselves.
Right.
And so that this would, I'm saying that those factors would not only be valuable for an individual, but that's the kind of thing that our schools should be teaching, parents should be teaching to their kids, and we should be demanding from those people who represent us in our representative democracy, and I have, as I've talked with other people, time after time after time, they have said, "Why didn't I learn this earlier? Why didn't somebody teach me?" And incidentally, those 5 factors, 90% of those 5 factors and what's in the book, I did not learn in formal education.
But it was revealed to you in subsequent research that you've done.
Yes, of my own personal research, and the crux of which is that there's nothing in that book, or in any of the books that I haven't used.
Here's what I like, and here's what I know that you're going to like about the book. It's designed as a good read. It's not a textbook, and there's just so much information and so full of aha moments. I think that your readers are really going to respond well to that. But Bill, I need to ask you this question. It's kind of my hallmark question on the show here. Every book that I've ever loved, in my mind, I remember typically for one thing. It's like that magical takeaway that if you think about the greatest legacy books in history, they're really remembered for one key point that's remembered long after the actual details that you've written. So when your book becomes that type of legacy book, what's the one takeaway that people are going to never forget?
I don't know what they'll never forget. What I want them to never forget is that knowledge that, number one, that they think about and start maybe doing their own research in what's worth knowing. And the second thing is to say, I'm going to do something that is going to spread these ideas, and whether it's with my children, whether it's with my school district, whether it's writing my congressman, my senator, or whatever. In fact, one of the things that I'm contemplating doing is, once the book is finished, I want to send it to every representative and every senator, and to the President and Vice President of the United States.
Right.
And that's their free copy. And I'm hoping that somebody in that group will maybe take up the, or maybe, maybe Bill Gates will.
Take up
the challenge and say, that's so good. Why don't we develop a small school system, or a couple, 3 schools, and let's try this out and try that on a basis. I've tried these things personally, and they've worked for me.
What's really fascinated me about this project with you, Bill, is that you're a man that lives by what you're saying. We've spent some time together. I've seen your eating habits. I've seen your exercise habits. You've criticized my eating habits. And it's been real joy for me to get to know you.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. Well, listen, if you're interested in checking out a copy of Bill's new book, it's called What's Most Important. You can check it out at nextcenturypublishing.com, or check out, in the meantime, his current released book, Your Choices, Your Life. Hey, thanks a lot for being with us on the show today. Mr. Svoboda, Doctor, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next show.